So I was going to come on here and talk about something else, but I recently watched a podcast and it just, oh, like he said this one thing that landed in my body really, like, I really felt it. And I felt like it needed to be talked about. So it's funny because it's actually kind of like a continuation of my last video that I posted yesterday, which was about relationships. And again, this is about relationships, and it's, it's just so on point. And I feel like a lot of people are moving through this transitional period of leaving unfulfilling relationships or just relationships that have come to a completion, and they're moving away from that. I know that that has been happening a lot this year, and also many different endings. Again, we are in year 9, which like ends, it comes with a lot of endings that are meant to end so that we can begin, I believe, 2026 with a new cycle, right? Anyway, so I won't name the podcast just because like I don't I don't actually remember the name on the top of my head. If I remember it, I might just link it in my description box below if you guys want to watch it. But anyway, um what he said was, if you break up and the person that you leave or leaves you or whatever the case, if they start becoming spiteful, or they start hating you, they start being aggressive to you, they've literally done a 180. We're not talking about toxic relationships where it's like really heavy and abusive, and like I get people probably go through their motions of like not really liking that person after you walk away from that. I get that. But we're talking more about relationships that are like neutral, they're somewhat healthy, right? It's not like a truly abusive and toxic thing, right? And you or the other person end up hating, the other. The question was, did you actually love them? Did they actually love you when you were in a relationship with them? And that landed in my body because I resonate with that, right? Because if you can't continue to love the person, and I get that that love changes, I get that that love is going to look different, it's going to turn to more of a respectful kind of love, right, instead of the dynamic that you were in before. But if you can't do that, and you or this other person keeps sending hate, keeps doing things in order to make that other person's life harder, all because they have left you, it's like, did you actually, or did they actually love you when you were in the relationship? Or did they just love the idea of you? Did they just love that you were fulfilling all their wants, needs, and desires while you were in a relationship with them? And then all of a sudden, obviously, when that changes and that dynamic, transitions out of the romantic container, then all of a sudden that's gone, and they don't love and respect you anymore. It's like, was that actually real love, or were they just trying to fill a void within themselves through you? Or like switch, like, obviously I'm not sure which person you are in this scenario, right? Because you could be the one throwing hate. And if you are, just know that like you have a wounded void in yourself, which is why you're doing that. And I get that a lot of the time it's like that person is hurt. That's why they're throwing this hate. That's why they're trying to make this other person's life more difficult. I get that. I truly, truly do. But the reason that you are hurt or this other person is hurt is because they think that love exists outside of them, that wholeness exists outside of them, that all these fragmented pieces exist outside of them when it doesn't. And so when we lose that thing, right, that person or that thing, we feel the ache of that because we thought that that person or that thing was fulfilling a void within us. And then it's like, oh, it hurts. It's no longer there. But the thing is, it was never there in the first place. It truly wasn't, because no person on the outside can actually fulfill a void within you. You can continuously go on looking for that, and more often than not, if you or this other person that's making your like ex-spouse life's like hard right now because you are angry at them, like you are just going to go into another relationship and continuously do the same thing, and you're continuously going to look for this need to fulfill something within you through another or through something else, but you'll just like eventually you'll come to the realization that it does not exist outside of you. It does not. Like something will come in and kind of shake you up, where you're going to have to realize, like, I need to find that wholeness, that love, that joy, that happiness within. And that is the only way that you can actually come into a healthy union and still love and respect the other person if that relationship comes to a completion, right? Because I don't believe it's like a breakup. It's just you've come to a completion of the relationship. It's no longer serving its purpose of whatever lessons that you and the other person needed to learn. It's come full circle, and now it's time to separate and move on, integrate, and become conscious and aware and this higher version of yourself, right? Because ultimately, what I'm starting to realize is that each and every single person on this planet, whether they realize it or not, whether they're conscious of it or not, we're all here to remember our truth, remember who we actually are, and find everything that we're seeking with, like, on the outside, to find it within, because that's a very powerful person. That's a very, I almost want to say, like, dangerous person to the system, because you can't be bought out. Like, no one can actually manipulate you and tell you that you're not this and you're not that, that you're going to find happiness and wholeness in this product, you're going to find happiness and wholeness in this person. You're going to be like, actually, it's within myself. Yes, these outer things are nice. Of course, they're nice to enjoy, but I do not need them. That's a very conscious, aware, and dangerous person to the system. Let's just be real. Because our whole society is built on like keeping people asleep and constantly giving away their power to so many things on the outside, because again, that person is easy to manipulate, that person is easy to contort and keep in a certain box and to keep quiet and to keep doing whatever they're told to do, right? And like I said again, like, I just believe that each and every single one of us are on this journey to remember our truth, to find that happiness and wholeness within, and it will eventually happen to each and every person, but they're all going through their own journeys, right? So yeah, I'm bringing this up because I wanted, so I'll bring a little bit of my personal stories. Like, I actually wanted to always end things in a very peaceful way with my ex, just because like I was like, I don't want to do toxicity. I don't want to do anything, like from how my past situations were, where there was a lot of hate and there was a lot of like daggers being thrown at each other. um and I didn't want to do that. I was like, why does it have to be that way? Like, why do so many people follow that script of like, yeah, we're done, so now you're gonna see the most darkest and like the worst side of me? Like, why it does not have to be that way. And so I remember, because I had this conversation with my ex when we began our relationship of like, listen, I want you to know that like I am not going to guarantee myself to you for the rest of our life, because I don't know, we change. I don't know who you're going to grow into. I don't know who I'm going to grow into. And I did make it very clear, and I still believe to this day, if one person is on a growth journey and they're doing the work and they're healing and they're transmuting their pain, etc., etc., and the other person isn't, eventually like they're gonna go separate ways. Like that is just energy. That's an energy dynamic where the energy moves farther and farther apart from one another, right? And I said, like, look, if that's gonna be the case, like, I just want to make sure that we're gonna end things peacefully and not in a bitter way. Why? What's the point, right? And obviously, as as like I'm gonna continue on this story, you can kind of tell, and this is not me speaking from ego, but like you can kind of tell who's done work on themselves versus a person who hasn't, right? Because then I just started to see sides of my ex that I was like, okay, cool, we're here, I guess. Sucks, but I didn't want it to be bitter. I truly did. And I'm still not bitter towards him. I've just distanced myself, because it's like, if you're going to be bitter about this whole situation, and I get it's coming from a hurt place, like it sucks. It really does suck. But again, I've come to realize like he's just hasn't done the work. He doesn't understand. He's not fully conscious and aware to integrate what this experience was supposed to be teaching him, which was to find the void within and to fill it within, and not to seek it on the outside, not to then go, to someone else or something else to fulfill that pain, to mask that pain, to put a band-aid on that pain, and to really integrate it, right? Because pain, as much as it does suck to feel, there are some really beautiful lessons in pain. Like, and what I mean is like emotional pain of like whatever you like, for example, like a breakup, right? And you feel the pain of that. Or even like losing your job and you feel the pain of that, or losing anything in your life and feeling the pain of that. When you sit with it and you try and understand what the pain is trying to teach you, it brings a very beautiful gift to you. I know when I was sitting with my pain for 3 months straight, nonstop death and rebirth, it like I basically found wholeness within. I found love with like the amount of love I never thought I was capable of feeling. I felt with no other person, no other thing, nothing outside of me, but me connecting with me connecting with my heart. And I was just in awe. Like I was crying tears of joy and like love, because of the amount of love I opened up to, and I allowed the divine to like pour into me. And it was the most beautiful thing. And I'm really happy to have experienced that a few times. It's not on a constant thing. Definitely is not a constant thing because I have felt tremendous amounts of love where it's almost like it overwhelms you, where you're like, all right, okay, enough. And I know it sounds crazy. I know. Dr. Joe actually talks about this. And when I first heard him talk about like how you can feel so much love where it's like it's overwhelming and you want it to like stop, I was like, what is he talking about? Like, how? And I get it. I got my own experience and like, oh, okay, this is what Dr. Joe was talking about because it is overwhelming. It's like so much. And I actually understood in that moment that that is where we come from and probably feel even more love than that. Because when I had that experience and I was like, okay, enough. I don't know how to like integrate all this love. Um, I realized like, wow, our human bodies are only capable of feeling so much. And that we come from a place that we feel even more of that. And that I couldn't even fathom because I was like, all right, I'm tapped out with how much I can feel. Um, Again, everyone I think has to go through that experience to understand, to like fully understand that like there's actually something as like feeling so much love where you're done. And I only ever felt that with myself, not through anyone else, which is crazy. I know. But I've come to that realization that it's like it's all within, right? So I know I kind of like completely went off. I'm just kind of going with the flow with this conversation, but yeah, like if you are a person or the other person is bitter towards you, like yes, understand that it comes from pain. I get that. But it's like, did you actually love that person? Or did you love the idea of them? Because if you truly have loved that person, you wouldn't just take away that love and you wouldn't become bitter. You would respect and honor the time that you had together, and you would also just respect and honor that person and realize that the dynamic has changed, and honestly probably for the better. Because my other belief is also, if you if you and that person were truly meant together to be together, the relationship wouldn't have come to completion. It wouldn't have ended if you guys were truly meant to be together. And 1,000%, one person like who initiated the separation or breakup, before they did that, 1,000%, if let's just say the person that I'm speaking to right now, that other person broke up with you, like you got broken up with, let me ask you this. You felt it coming. You truly did. If you like silenced your thoughts and you really sat with yourself and you really felt into what was shifting, you felt it coming. Maybe you didn't want to accept it. Maybe you were pushing it away and thinking, no, that's not true. But you felt it coming. You 1,000%, like every person I've talked to who has gone through a breakup this year or the last couple of months, and they were broken up with, I asked them like, you felt it, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, I felt it. We all know. We all both parties know when it comes to a completion and when it's done and when it's best for us to move on. And again, I truly believe that whatever you end up losing, it's only going to be replaced with something better for you, better for your growth, better for your evolution, better for the path that you are headed on. Because again, we're all on different paths. And so, yeah, so the person that is like throwing the hate to the other person that you're with, just know that you have healing to do. You have a lot of healing to do, and it's better for you not to just jump into another relationship because you're going to repeat that pattern. You are going to repeat something that you probably like you wouldn't want to repeat. So it's best to spend time away from being in a relationship and integrating the lessons that you need to integrate before you go into something else. Because when you do that, you'll only attract like a next level love, right? That you are going to be ready for. And if you don't, you're going to just repeat the lesson until you learn and you integrate it. And for the person that, is receiving like the daggers and the bitterness from the other person and like kind of being mind blown how they did like a complete 360, and it's like, whoa, I didn't expect this from you. Like, again, send love their way. I've done that to my ex multiple times without him knowing. I'm like, yeah, he's hurting, and I send him love anyway. Doesn't mean I, disregard my boundaries. I still keep my boundaries intact, but just realize that yes, they're hurting, and was it really? I'm sure you know this, that the relationship wasn't really rooted in like unconditional love, which is probably why you left, and obviously multiple other reasons. But yeah, just send them love and realize like they have their own healing and growing journey to go on, which, whether they're aware of it or not, they're going to have to go through. They're going to have to go through, and wish them all the best. And may they go through that so that they can speed up the process and realize that you are actually destined. Like, if you are coming from a place of integrity and wholeness and love and only just wishing them all the best, regardless of what they're doing, just realize that the next person that comes in for you is a whole different person. It's a whole, like, it's a love that you're just going to be mind blown because of the integration of your own wholeness, love, and joy within. You're going to be met with a person who can mirror that, and that's just a whole different type of love. So, yeah, I'm going to end this here, but like, ultimately, and I just saw 22:11 on the timer, and that to me is a perfect reflection of inner and outer union, which, again, I was actually going to talk about, because and end this video with that, is I do believe that a lot of us are being called into like this higher love, higher evolution of love. Yes, it's going to take some time. There's already people walking on that path, already people who are in that kind of dynamic in relationship, and there are people who are on that path and integrating lessons and doing the work, and they're already walking it. Like, ultimately, like I said in my last video, I do believe we're all headed in that direction. It's going to take some time, yes, I know, but we're all headed that way. And so I actually think, like, a lot of us are actually going to come into a very beautiful dynamic with another person that is like totally meant for us, because I do believe there's someone that's like meant for you when you've gone through all this work, and it's like so that you can finally like realize that expression from all that you have integrated, right? Anyway, another kind of rant a little bit, because I felt very passionate when I heard that, and I was like, I need to spread this because it's so true. It's so true. If you truly love someone, it doesn't change. Even if the dynamic with the person changes, you're kind of like, all right, wish you all the best. Maybe the expression of how that love is changes. That can change, but the basis of love does not change. So, yeah. Alrighty, guys, I'm gonna end this here. As always, I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.